Welcome to this Q&A session, and I'm going to do my level best to answer the questions that have come through. Feel free to say hi, by the way. I always like seeing who's with me here. I'm going to do my best to answer the questions that have come through. And with each of these questions, sometimes I've asked a clarifying question already, like in the comments, so I can make sure I understand. And in fact, why don't we start with that one? So start with that. So here are the questions that I received in answer to my statement that I was doing a Q&A. So we'll have a quick look at those. So the first one comes from Duncan asking me about time management. But the one I wanted to mention first was this one from Feli Key. Feli said, I'm clueless about creating a business profile using social media. How could I improve that? How to find help at a reasonable price for a startup with a very small budget. Thank you for your generosity, Jamie. So grateful. So I replied, great question, Feli. Just to make sure we're on the same page, what do you mean by creating a business profile? Because here's the thing. I didn't know what he meant. Like, I had my own ideas about what he might have meant, but I didn't know what he actually meant. And I wanted to get clear on this. And so this is one of the, the reason I ask you to type comments. So someone from Facebook has said, hi. Helen said hi. So the difference, by the way, if you want to go over to StreamYard.com/Facebook and click the button there, I'll be able to see your name like I can see Helen's name. Whereas whoever the first person who typed hi in, I can't see who that is. So it's lovely to have you with us. But if you head over to StreamYard.com/Facebook and click the button, then I'll be able to see your name too. So the thing was, Feli had posted that question asking for advice on building a business profile. But I can think of 20 things that he might mean by that, ranging from a LinkedIn profile, a profile on LinkedIn, to his business offering, to any number of things. So Ali's here. Hi, Ali. Sue's here. Hi, Sue. I love that we've got such a wonderful community here with us. So I'm going to go through these questions. And as I've already pulled out Feli's question. So I said, great question, Feli. Just to make sure we're on the same page, what do you mean by creating a business profile? So Feli said, as a therapist, I struggle with creating the content for a website, even therapy directories. I don't think I have the skills to do it myself, but I don't know what type of organization to approach for help. Well, that is a great question. And I bet there are people here, Feli, who can relate to it. So, oh, hi, Laura. Great to have you with us. If there's anyone here who can relate with what Feli's saying, I want you to put your comments in and say, yeah, I can relate with what Feli said. And here's why. I'm going to suggest that one of the biggest mistakes that I see coaches and therapists, change workers make, especially when it comes time to doing a website or a LinkedIn profile or anything like that, they make it all about them. Mira Griffiths is here. Hi, Mira. And Feli's here as well. Great to have you with us, Feli. So they make it all about them. And so they think, like for all of us, if someone says, just tell us about yourself and what you do and that sort of thing, we're kind of like, geez, I don't know. But here's the thing. When it comes to creating a thriving practice, it's not about you. It's about your clients. It's about what you offer. It's about the difference you make to your clients. So I don't know if you recall, we had the presentation yesterday where I was talking about the relationship matrix. I'll see if I can even pull that up because I think that's I think it's quite important. So no, I can't find it. But if it, yeah, here we go. I'm going to show you that. So this little beauty. So watch this. So if we go back to what we were looking at yesterday, let me find it. There we go. We were talking about the relationship, what I call the relationship need matrix. So that's on one side, you've got the relationship, which is someone knowing and liking and trusting you. And on the other side of it, you've got their perceived need. Now, the way you build know, like, and trust with people is you give them an experience of you. Now, the way for people to have an experience of you, one of the best ways, especially if you're a coach, a therapist, a change worker, or whatever, one of the best ways for people to have an experience of you is through conversation. Now, there are many forms a conversation can take. One of the best is face-to-face, okay? Second best is a recording. So just by show of hands or by typing it into the comments, who, before you ever heard me do something live, either watched a video or listened to a recording of me? Just type whatever it was, like video or interview or coaching demo or podcast episode or audio. Who experienced something of me? Or maybe it was an article or a book or something like that. What was it? What was something that you experienced before you ever experienced me live? Like if you're watching this on a Tuesday evening, you're experiencing this live. So literally this is going out as I'm saying it. But if you're watching this after Tuesday evening, then you're watching a recording. And if you ever had an experience of me before doing something live with me, this is live. If you ever had a non-live experience. So James says, Sue says Facebook Live. James says podcast episode. Felly says video and podcast. Now, here's the thing. While I tell stories, and many of those stories are personal stories. So here's a few more. Helen said someone mentioned me a few years back. I'll talk about that in a moment. Ali says webinar, I think, so maybe live. Mira said NLP training videos. Bear in mind, Mira and I, this is amazing, okay? Mira and I met probably 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I can't quite remember. I know it was Thriving Coaches Blueprint, but I can't remember if it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I haven't made an NLP training video in over a decade. So those videos were made before Mira and I ever met. I stopped making them long before Mira and I ever met. Yet those videos are introducing people to me still. So Felly says YouTube. Someone else says Little Book of Clarity. That's Rob. Hi, Rob. Tom says DVD. Man, those were the good old days, huh, Tom? Someone else says a Facebook Live with Shah Wasmond, one of my dear friends and colleagues. Ellie says, hi, Ellie, says hypnosis video. Mira says 2017. That's when we met. So long after I'd stopped making NLP videos. But here's the point I'm trying to make. All of these were ways that people were building a relationship with me over time. But here's the other thing, Felly, and this is so important. All of those were contexts. They were situations where I was providing value to those people around something that mattered to them. Okay. So what I wasn't doing was telling them about me, though knowing myself as I do, I probably talked about myself a fair bit because I told stories about my experience and that sort of thing. But I was doing it all in the service of all those people with something that mattered to them. So I don't know what podcast episode it was that Duncan James listened to, but I promise you it was something that was, if he listened to any amount of it, it's because it was interesting to him, because it was giving value to him. That's my strong guess. I don't know what the Facebook Live that Sue went on, that she was introduced me to on, but there was something about that was interesting to her because it was about her perceived needs, something she wanted or needed or desired, a problem she wanted to solve, a change she wanted to make. Felly, I don't know how you first got introduced to me, what video or podcast it was, but I promise you, it was about something that mattered to you. It wasn't even about me. Like I may have slipped in some stuff about me like I do on all this stuff because I'm telling stories from personal experience and relating things that have happened to me through my career and that sort of thing. So you learned about me in the process, but it was mainly about you and what mattered to you. Same with Helen. I don't know who mentioned me to you, but I'll come back to this actually, Helen. This is really important. I don't know what the webinar was for Ali, but I bet it was about something that mattered to you. I guess Mira wanted to learn about NLP techniques and that sort of thing, because those videos, which I made back in 2008, that's what they were about. It was something that mattered to her. So everything that I'm doing, so coaching demo. I told the story last night of the person who listened to all my coaching demo, then immediately signed up on my program. Omar says Baker Street. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was walking down Baker Street and this guy comes up to me. This guy was Omar. He says, "Are you Jamie Smart?" Or I can't remember exactly what he said, but something like, "You're Jamie Smart," or "Are you Jamie Smart?" or "You look like that Jamie Smart guy," or "You're like Jamie Smart, only fatter," whatever he said. You didn't say anything to me, but whatever you said, Omar, I connected with Omar there on Baker Street. We took a selfie. We connected, and we've been in relationship ever since. So Omar has attended my Facebook Lives. He's been in Facebook groups, that sort of thing. We've been in relationship ever since. And at every stage in the game, the reason that people keep tuning in for things that I'm doing, the reason that you're here tonight is because it's about you. It's not about me. It's about you and what you want, what you're looking to accomplish, to change, to make happen, to have happen in the world. It's about you. So Feli, your question, which was, let me just go back to it, was, I'm clueless about creating a business profile using social media. How could I improve that? How to find help at a reasonable budget? And I asked, what do you mean? Because I want to make sure we're on the same page. I want to calibrate. I want to find out, what does he actually mean? What's he asking about? So I asked a secondary question, a follow-up question. Great question. Just to make sure we're on the same page, what do you mean by creating a business profile? So Feli comes back and says, as a therapist, I struggle with creating the content for a website, even therapy directories. I don't think I have the skills to do it myself, but I don't know what type of organization to approach for help. Well, here's what I'm going to suggest, Feli. The solution to that is you want to become really, really focused, not on you and what you're about so much. Become really focused on your prospective clients, on what they want, what they need, what they desire. That's what I've spent my time doing my best to become. It's funny, lots of people go, Jamie, you're really good at marketing. And I'm like, I'm not that good at marketing. Apple are good at marketing. Apple are really good at marketing. Look, they've sold like 5 billion iPhones, okay? They're good at marketing. I'm not good at marketing. What I'm good at is separate realities. I'm good at getting the other person's world by asking questions like the one I asked Feli. What do you mean by creating a business profile? Like, I want to get where people are coming from. Omar says, I've been coached by you on a Monday. On Monday's coaching demo is a fantastic experience for me. I would never forget it. Me neither, buddy. So my suggestion, Feli, and this goes for all of us, okay? As coaches, the more you're able to understand what your clients are going through, what they're up against, what is meaningful for them, your content will create itself. Like I'm doing this Facebook Live and I'm answering your questions. Well, by answering this question, just this question, Feli, I'm doing a bunch of things all at once and I'm not even having to think about it. First of all, I'm demonstrating to everyone here, oh, I know what I'm talking about. This is not my first time. I'm getting to do something I love. I love teaching. I love working with groups. I love coaching people. So I'm getting to do the thing I love while demonstrating that I know what I'm talking about and giving you the chance to start developing a relationship with me because I'm being real. I'm being authentic. I'm telling you about me and how I see it. And I'm doing it in a real way. This isn't a show that I'm putting on. As anyone who's worked closely with me. So who's worked closely with me? Ali Duffy has. We've had conversations. Mira Griffiths has worked extensively with me. Who else? Ellie's worked extensively with me. Omar has been impacted by me. Double check. This is what I'm like. If you bump into me in the street or run into me in a restaurant or anything like that, this is who you're going to meet. I'm the same guy in person as I am here. I'm pretty much as the same as talkative in person as I am here, but I'm not necessarily teaching in person. It just depends what context it's in. So people who have had a close experience with me, let me know if that's your experience of me. I'm the same person now as I am the rest of the time. Beiju's just arrived. Great to see you, man. We're going to do a session soon. I'm looking forward to it. So that's my answer to your question, Feli. And I thought it was a great question that lots of people will be resonating with. Do feel free, Feli, to give me feedback on that if that makes sense to you, if my answer makes sense to you. And I'm going to move on to the next question. So the next question came from James. James said, thanks, Jamie. How do you manage your time? My current struggle is I'm feeling I want to create online courses, ebooks, lead magnets, podcasts, YouTube videos, Facebook Lives. Then there's Instagram and the other free platforms. I'm only just starting out as a coach and I work a day job. So the time management side feels kind of daunting. So I'm going to answer this in a couple of ways. So the first answer is how I manage my time. Not very effectively. Like if you were to follow me around for a few days, you'd be like, man, this guy is chaotic. I'm all over the place. I basically am just managing my time based on what's the next thing I could do that's going to make a big impact. Okay, so that's my first impact. Now, you may have seen, if you're any of you who are in Clarity Pro, you've seen how I manage my week is I have a piece of paper. I'll just draw one for you. I basically each day I have the date at the top of the page. So what's today? It's Tuesday, Tuesday the 22nd of September, and I'll have the 3 things that I'm working on this week. So each week I have 3 big things that if I accomplish them, that'll be good. Now this week, actually, the whole week is totally focused on this workshop and launch and everything that we're doing. So this week is a little different because I've only got one thing that I'm doing all week, and it's this. This is my primary focus of attention. And then I make notes and I say, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is this and that sort of thing. So in terms of how I manage my time, that's the only tool I use. But there are a couple of distinctions I want to share with you that these are really important. Everything I'm doing is all pointed in the same direction. So my vision, okay, now I may have mentioned this yesterday, but I'm gonna pull it up again because this is really important, I think. So just a sec. Yeah, here's yesterday's presentation. So as you may have heard me say on more than one occasion, my vision is the first generation of children born to parents who have already realized our innate capacity for clarity, resilience, and well-being. Okay. So in 2009, I had 3 insights. Okay. The first insight, which came kind of in January, was like, oh, everything you've been looking for outside of yourself. And just a little bit of backstory. So I'd read the 4-hour work week. I thought that's the key. I need to take mini retirements and go on adventures and that sort of thing. So I was off in Whistler for a 3-month ski holiday. Okay. My first mini retirement. My business was running on autopilot, the NLP business that Miro was watching the videos from. And I was miserable and I was off track and off purpose. So I had to go back to the drawing board and I got introduced to the principles behind clarity. And at first I was very dubious about it, but I had an insight in the January of 2009. And my insight was, oh, everything you've been looking for outside of you is already there on the inside. Like I was looking for peace of mind and I was looking for fulfillment and purpose and to feel successful and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't find it on my 3-month ski holiday. And what I realized was, oh, it's already there inside of you. You've been looking in the wrong place. You've been looking on the outside for something that can only be found on the inside. Now, here's the thing. There are lots of cool things that can be found out here in the world of stuff. They've got great pizzas and cool skis and motorcycles and wristwatches and fast cars and cool people to meet and delicious meals. And basically, I'm repeating things already because that's described pretty much the full range of cool stuff that I know about on the outside. People, good food, cars, jewelry, shoes, nice stuff, paintings, houses. There's all kinds of stuff out here in the world of stuff. And those are all great, but they can't give you a feeling. The only place of feeling of happiness, of peace, of well-being, of love, of joy, of connection, the only place that can ever come from is from within. It comes from within because it's an emanation from the heart of your being. It's the essence of who you really are. So that was my first realization. I was in early 2009. My second realization was, the fact that a person can even see or hear or feel or perceive means they have that source of peace and well-being within them. It means it's there in everybody. Everyone has that source of innate mental health and clarity, resilience already within them. And I went, just to give you an idea, I went from not knowing that, I did not know that. I went from not knowing that to knowing it like I know my own name. And so as you can imagine, that transformed how I work with clients. It suddenly made me so much more hopeful for my clients. And I'd go as far as to say, I think that it's the most valuable thing that a coach or therapist can know. The most valuable thing that you can know is what you've got going for you and what all your clients have going for them. That's the source of all my impact as a coach, okay? And I'm pretty impactful these days. So that changed how I work with people. Third insight, June of 2009. I went to sleep on a Friday evening. I woke up Saturday morning and I knew something like I knew my own name. I was, holy shit, this is principles. This understanding is to psychology what the discovery of germs was to medicine. And literally that day I called up my office. I said, we're getting out of the NLP business. There are principles behind the field of psychology. We've got our work cut out for us. Because I had a vision, and the vision I had was just like you and me and everyone else here, James, we were all born to parents who already knew about the fact of germs, about the fact of bacteria and the bacterial nature of infection and that sort of thing. Our parents already knew that. And that discovery, that realization, added an average of 30 years to the human lifespan. People these days live 30 years longer on average than they did before we knew that. So that's huge. Well, what I realized is, the principles behind clarity are to psychology what the discovery of germs was to medicine. So my vision was of the first generation of children born to parents who already get this, okay? And those kids are being born now. So my purpose is to inspire and educate a generation to experience lives of clarity and resilience and well-being. And my mission is to awaken people and support them in awakening others. So I'm doing that right now. My hope and fervent prayer is that someone listening to this has an insight, gets touched, starts waking up to the truth of who they are, because that's me doing my job. Whether they ever pay me a penny or not, doesn't matter to me. That I'm on track. Okay, I'm doing what I care about, support them in awakening others. So that's why I work so much with coaches and therapists and business leaders, because I want to get leverage. The world is in a shocking state. We need all the wisdom we can get. So this is my mission. What's important to me is truth and love and adventure. And what looks true to me is that the most valuable things a person can discover are how experience is created and who they really are. And those two facts underpin all my coaching. coaching. So I'm using this all the time. What's effective? Continued education in the original sense of the word, educe, to lead out from within. I'm saying it's already in there. It's already in there in you. It's already in there in me. It's already in there in all your clients. You know, there's a quote by Taylor Desjardins. He said, "We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience." And I take it a little further. My take on it is, we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're one spiritual being having 7 billion human experiences. And who you really are is that one spiritual being. And who I really am is that one spiritual being. And who everyone on this planet is that one spiritual being. And as we wake up to the fact of that, it's a game changer in our lives and in the impact we can make in other people's lives. So that's my focus of attention. My job description is to help make it as easy as possible for my clients to have the insights and realizations that are going to make a difference in their lives. So I know it's going to come from within them. So James, to get back to your question, how do I manage my time? I just make sure everything I'm doing is moving me closer to that. And if it's not, I stop doing it and do something else. But as long as what I'm doing is moving me in the direction of that right there, whether it's me learning, or whether it's me doing these webinars, or whether it's me doing a one-to-one session with someone, or whether it's me, oh, what just happened there? Or whether it's me taking a day off and just going for a walk so that I can rejuvenate. It's all in the service of that. So that's 2 answers to your question, James. First is I'm kind of chaotic, and so I just make a list of the most important things and start at the top. Second answer is it's all in the service of that. Here's my third answer, speaking to you as a coach. The more time you spend coaching and doing things that are pretty much the same as coaching, that'll take care of the time management for you. So if you're spending all your time trying to do social media and Facebook pages and that sort of thing, but you're not spending time coaching or training or whatever it is that gives you juice, that's going to be tough to find energy for. People often ask, how do you motivate yourself? It's like, I don't. The batteries are already included because like, what else am I going to do with my time? That's what I'm interested in. That's what I'm focused on. That's what I'm learning about. That's what I'm sharing with people. It's that. So, and the reason I'm doing that is because I love coaching. I love teaching. I love seeing people wake up to who they really are. So as long as what I'm doing is mostly that, or quite immediately facilitating that, then I'm a happy boy. If what I'm spending my time on is not that, and not on track to that, and not really helping with that, I'm not going to have much time for it. So I would say to everyone watching this, be coaching, be training, be doing your thing. And the more you can find, with stuff like social media or whatever, the more you can find ways to make it like the stuff you love doing, the more juicy it's going to be for you. So I hope that answers your question, Jay. 3 answers to 1 question. I'm pleased. So let's look at what's up next. All right. So next up, we have got James, best Sydney Banks book recommendations. Okay, here's my take on Sydney Banks. For people watching this webinar, I recommend all of them. I love his books. I love Sydney Banks' books. When I first read them, I didn't like them at all. I read the book, The Missing Link, like back in 1999. I read it. I was like, nah, that's rubbish. I read it again 5 years later. Nah, that's rubbish. It's now one of my favorite books. When I read The Enlightened Gardener and The Missing Link, not The Missing Link, Second Chance and The Enlightenment Gardener Revisited, like I studied English literature at school. So I'm going through and going, this isn't very well written. No, this is a bit fourth formish. Now there's some of my favorite books. I had to let my ego get out of the way before I could really appreciate his books. I highly recommend all Sydney Banks's books, all his videos, all his audio recordings. And if you're like, as you know, I'm getting ready to launch a program, which we're going to be launching next week. And the masterclass series is part of the run up for that. If for any, and I've already said, there are hundreds of people going through the masterclass series, there's not going to be room for everyone on the program, and it's not going to be a fit for everyone. But if you really want to do the program, you really want to get an increase in your grounding and impact, you're just like, oh man, it's just not the right time, or I can't afford it. Read Sid Banks' books and watch his videos and audios. That stuff's going to make a huge difference to you. It's going to make a huge difference to you. It's not going to give you specifics on how to grow a coaching practice, but it'll give you something far more valuable, which is to point you in the direction of who you really are. One of my dear friends and colleagues and mentors, Jan Chipman, I was having a chat with her once on clarity certification training. I bring in my mentors and friends and colleagues, and they do coaching demos with the students on the certification training. So it's always a real pleasure. And so when I'm introducing them, I ask the question, and the question I ask is, what's your philosophy to coaching people from this understanding? And so they give different answers. But I was talking to Jan once, and we were talking about how much we both love listening to Sid Banks recordings at the beginning of the day. So it's something we both do. And Jan said, the reason I love listening to Sid Banks recordings, she said, is it makes it really easy for you to listen on the inside to who you really are. And that mirrors my experience exactly. It's like Sydney Banks's work is like a mirror that reflects back your true self to you. Is beautiful. So I love The Missing Link, but I love all of them. I read all his books over and over again. I listen to all his recordings over and over again. I watch all his videos over and over again. I thoroughly recommend all of Sydney Banks' work without any reservations whatsoever. There are lots of people around at the moment telling you what Sid Banks meant and what he meant and what he didn't mean and how you should interpret him and that sort of thing. I'm like, we've got his books, we've got him on video, we've got him on recording. He says what he means more than anyone else I've ever heard. He tells you precisely and exactly what he means, what he's talking about. He says it again and again. Check out his stuff. It's good stuff. Highly recommended. Okay, let's go to the next one. Next question. Johannes Metzler. Good to see you here, Johannes. Johannes asks, how do you plan, decide, ultimately create your social media activities? What team do you have in the back supporting you in that? How to do social media if you don't enjoy being part of the social media shouting match? How to create and build relationships on social media without getting sucked into the attention hijacking consumptive forces of it. I abstained from Facebook for a year, was super happy. And while now I enjoy communities like these, I notice how it starts messing with my mind again, e.g. sucks me in uselessly and has me comparing myself to others. Okay, so let me answer that in a couple of ways, Johannes. First of all, and this may sound strange, but I engage with Facebook and other social media as a producer. I produce information for my audience on social media. I'm not a consumer of social media, with one exception, Twitter. Twitter can hook me for like half an hour or an hour. So I've got to be very careful with Twitter. But with the rest of it, I just don't engage with it as a consumer. I'm not interested in it unless someone specific is doing something specific that I'm very interested in, and then I go check that out. Just like if I want to watch a TV show, I go and watch that TV show or watch that YouTube channel. But I'm not engaging in it as a consumer of Facebook. So that's my first thing, and how to stay out of it. But the second thing is grounding. Like I'm not really comparing myself to anyone. Like I understand that I have something unique to offer, that my authentic expression of what I care about and what I do, that's what I'm here for. And that, at least for now, Facebook is a great place to share that. And I get the opportunity to make a difference to people who, like, I know that in these videos, I wouldn't be surprised if there's someone who's watching this video who has been either watching one of my Facebook videos or listening to one of my podcasts or listening to a talk I gave or reading one of my books, who, because they were watching it, they had an insight that's made a difference in their lives. And let me know, and it's okay if you haven't, but if you've had an insight that's made a difference in your life from watching one of my videos or listening to one of my audios or podcasts or whatever, let me know in the comments, because here's the thing. I'm not in a battle for attention in Facebook. I mean, I guess I am, because that's Facebook for you. You got to figure out, if you want to use that as a channel, you got to figure out how to work with the algorithms, and you got to build community and that sort of thing. But I just want to make it like, remember what my job description is. Okay. So my job description, as I see it, it took me years to figure this out, by the way. My job description is to help make it as easy as possible for my clients to have the insights and realizations that are going to make a real go forward difference in their lives. That's my job description. That's what I'm trying to do. And so if I want to make it easy for them, I think, well, where are they? Well, they're on their phones and they're on Facebook, and that's where they are. So if I want to make it easy for them, I'm not going to say, okay, you need to march to the top of Timbuktu or something like that. No, I want to make it easy for them. So this is part of my job, is make it easy for them. So James says, yes, an ebook that I wrote, Top 10 Tips for Unconditional Happiness. I love that ebook. Now, here's the funny thing. I wrote that ebook. Check this out. I wrote that ebook in 2004 or 2005. It was a long time ago. It was before I'd rebranded it as Instant Happiness in 2006. So I wrote that a long time ago. I was having an impact in James' life without even knowing it. Okay? So that was me doing my job back then. Felly says, yeah, your demo with a coach, it really impacted me. So this is how I'm using social media. I'm using it to do my job, which is to make it as easy as possible for people to have the insights and realizations that'll make a difference to them. So let's go back to your next question in there, Johannes. Let me just, there we go. Share screen. So you had a bunch of questions. How do you plan, decide, ultimately create your social media activities? Well, in terms of plan, it just depends what I've got going on. Like at the moment, we're preparing to open the doors on our program, Thriving Coaches Blueprint. So it makes sense for me to be doing stuff around that. I'm in the process of getting better at it, of being more consistent and that sort of thing. We just figure out, what are we doing? What does it make sense to work on? Like, we're doing a Clarity Live next month. This is a 2-day event about money and wealth and abundance. So once we finish this stuff, I'll probably do some stuff about money, wealth, and abundance. Then we've got Clarity certification training coming up in January. More than half the places on that are sold. I think we're 2/3 sold out now, but it'll probably make sense for me to do some stuff about coaching in the run up to that. But then all the stuff was kicking off with the George Floyd situation in the US. So I reached out to a member of my community and we did a podcast about that. So it's also about what's interesting to people. What do I want to talk about? You know, I did a podcast episode with one of my favorite Twitter follows, a guy called Vinay Gupta. It's just, what am I interested in? So we're getting better at planning it, but we're still pretty new to it, to be honest, to any kind of in-depth planning, to be honest. What team do I have in the back supporting you? I've got a Deb, who kind of does overall kind of finance and ops. I've got Morena doing our bookkeeping. I've got Eugenia, who came on board as my admin, but now we're trying to get some organization in what we're doing around social media. So she's very involved in kind of project managing that. We've got Christian, who helps create visuals for that. And we've got Chris, who helps with some of the things like Facebook ads and that sort of thing. But by the way, Chris and Christian and Eugenia are quite new to the team. So we're still figuring this out. Up until very recently, we were so disorganized that I was doing almost all the Facebook and social media stuff. So we're in the process of getting that figured out. But by the way, almost everything, with the exception of the detailed Facebook ad stuff, almost everything that you see on social media, I at least have done myself. Like when we did the Clarity Pro launch 3 or 4 months ago, I did all the artwork for the headers and that sort of stuff myself. That's why it was so crappy. But you know, needs must. We were in a hurry. We had a lot to do, so we just get on with it. So let's see if I got all Johan's. How to do social media if you don't enjoy being part of the social media shouting match. Well, I'm not part of the social media shouting match. I'm just doing my thing. So just don't do it like that. Do it in a way that fits you, Johannes. So I think I spoke to all the stuff that, or the thing about it sucking you in uselessly and has you comparing yourself to others. That's about becoming more home to who you really are. You know, and it's back to my 2 facts. The 2 most important things a person can discover are how experience is created and who you really are. As you get clearer on those 2 things, how experience is created, where your experience comes from, and who you really are, the likelihood of you getting hijacked in that way diminishes significantly. And the desire to compare yourself to others and the kind of the compulsion to compare and all that sort of stuff, it just becomes much less compelling. Anyone who's had an experience of that changing, anyone who's worked closely with me and has just seen that kind of settle down, feel free to comment on that. So Mira or Ellie or any of you have worked with me and who've seen that happen for yourself. Let's see. Oh, Michelle says genuine connection is crucial. It so is. It's as rewarding for us as coaches as it is for those we coach. As an empath and an introvert who was always led to believe those qualities were my weaknesses, I've come to really realize they're golden skills when it comes to building relationships. Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, Michelle, because the qualities that make you a good coach are also crucial when it comes to engaging and enrolling people in a way that fits with who you are. But most coaches are trying to do sales and marketing like the bad sales and marketing that they've had demonstrated to them. Don't do it like that. My whole focus is on finding a way to do it that fits you perfectly so you can share your gifts with the world. So Baiju says, Friday podcast. Ali says, you're indeed consistently yourself, for better or for worse. Yeah, you can say that again, Ali. Felly says, it does make sense. Great. Yes, Carl Rogers got close to it. He did. Close but no cigar for Carl. But he was a huge innovator in the field, no doubt about it. James says, thanks, Jamie. Great. Brilliant. So let's go to the next question. We're nearly 45 minutes. Holy moly. Where's the time going? Feel free to ask me any questions you have now, by the way. I'm running through these, but if you've got questions, hit me. Okay. Paul Mark Andrew says, how do you believe you are worth more money? I seem to have an earnings ceiling and don't believe people will pay, if this makes sense. Thank you. Well, funnily enough, Paul, that question is a great question. It takes us back to where we started this session. So you may remember that where we started this session was with the what I call the relationship needs matrix. So I'll show it to you again, just so you remember. Just a sec. The relationship need matrix. So the relationship need matrix basically says you've got to build that relationship. So there's a high level of know, like, and trust. And you've got to get clear on the perceived need. So what I hear in your question, Paul, because you asked, how do you believe you are worth more money? I seem to have an earning ceiling and don't believe we'll pay. people will pay. Well, the issue you've got is you think it's about you, Paul. It's not about you. It's about your client, and it's about what they want. See, the thing that people pay for is the results that matter to them, the transformations that they want to go through, the changes they want to make, the results they want to achieve, the goals they want to achieve, the problems they want to solve. That's what they're investing in. Like, everyone, type in, what's the last thing that you paid money for, like in the last day or the last week? What's the last thing you paid money for? I want to read your answers. Hi, Ellie. Ellie, I can't remember what I was asking either, but if it comes back to me, I'll tell you. Lovely to have you here with us. So yeah, type in, what's the last thing you paid money for, or something you've paid money for recently that you can remember, and type into the comments so I can see. This is the only way I can calibrate with you, by the way, is by you typing into the comments. So I'm going to have a sip of water. We've got about a 1 minute time delay, so I won't see your comments. So Felly said, I've been working with clients with very low budget means. I would love to find a few high paying clients. I bet there are other people on this call who would love that too. So James says mechanic costs for car. Sue says cup hooks. Felly says a coat. Okay, so great. We've got mechanic costs for car. We've got cup hooks. We've got a coat. We've got groceries. So each of those things, Laura said a marketing course, LOL. So each of those things, if we stop and think of it for a moment, Rob said bills. You'll need to be more specific, Rob. Bills just means you paid for something, but I need to know what you paid for. So in each case, you've paid for something that mattered to you. So Maria bought books. I bet they were books either that she really wanted to read or that promised something that mattered to her. They spoke to a perceived need. Laura's marketing course will have spoken to a perceived need that Laura had or has. Ellie bought clothes for his kids. Helen said course. Ellie said clothes for his kids. His kids need to wear clothes. So that's a perceived need. Helen said a course. So there's some course that she's invested in. Tom said new shoes. So he wanted to invest in new shoes. Anthony said groceries. So all of these are perceived needs. Now they're perceived needs that in a lot of cases, people already have a set price range for it. So for instance, mechanic costs for car, I don't know how much it was, but I bet that if James didn't need it doing, he wouldn't have had it done. Now check this out. The reason I call this the relationship needs matrix, this is what we looked at last night. The reason I call it the relationship needs matrix is depending on the need and depending on what the experience is going to be like, you need a higher level of know, like, and trust. So if we take, for instance, mechanic costs for cars, I would imagine that for James to take his car to a mechanic, he needs at least a medium level of know, like, and trust. Okay. Maybe a high level. I don't know, but it needs to be, it's not going to be low. He's not going to just, I'll just take it anywhere, because if you just take it anywhere, you may end up with a huge bill, or you may end up with bad work being done. Like it's a crapshoot. So James is going to have needed a certain amount of know, like, and trust. And he was also going to have get it done. I bet it wasn't, he was just like, oh yeah, I just felt like having someone work on my car. So I took it in and got them to do me some work and give me the bill. No, there was something that needed fixing or was broken. So he had a high perceived need. Now the mechanic, when he took it into them, they may have said, oh, well, actually what's going on is this is what you actually need. So if James is anything like me, he doesn't know enough about cars to know what he needs. So he needs the mechanic's help to find out. Now, James, give me some feedback if I'm on the right track with this. Cup hooks, my guess is that Sue was able to go with a relatively low level of know, like, and trust. And it may not have been a super high perceived need, but it might have. I don't know. It depends what she was using it for. Felly got a coat. Again, maybe medium. Maybe you wouldn't just buy any coat. Maybe you want to know, where was it manufactured? Was it produced ethically? I don't know what your criteria were for a coat, but my guess is that you either needed it or liked it or something like that. Same with the groceries. Same with all of this stuff. And my point is, Ellie said, I don't think they needed the new clothes, but they perceived it. That's the key. Kids have a lot of pressure on their parent, can put a lot of pressure on their parents. Now, here's the thing. The price that you were willing to pay for those things that you bought, that wasn't about the supplier. It was about your perceived need. What mattered to you? Does that make sense? James says, yeah, I needed to trust the mechanic. He's a great guy. Same here. I use the same mechanic every time because I know this guy, he's old school. He won't charge me a penny more than is required. He's, when you work with this guy, he's going to do the absolute minimum amount that he needs to do to make sure that you get what you need and are able to go where you want to go and to do it safely and all that sort of stuff. So he's not necessarily the cheapest, but you know that if you pay this guy, you're going to get a good result. It reminds me, I used to work for a publishing company called Elsevier Science. And Elsevier were renowned for charging really high prices. And they created an advert that never actually ran. The marketing department weren't happy with it, but I thought it was absolutely brilliant. They said, the advert said, when you pay a high price for a premium product, you only wince once. When you pay a high price for a premium product, you only wince once. Because everyone knew, okay, this is super high quality. They knew that. It was just a lot of money. They said, when you pay a high price for a high quality product, you only wince once. Well, it's the same with my mechanic. It doesn't matter what I'm having to pay. I know that if he's quoted me, it's the right stuff, and I'm only going to wince once. So anyway, Felly said, I didn't need the coat, but I loved it, so I bought it. So that's what I would call a high perceived need. You loved it. It's a need, it's a want, it's a desire. Totally. Sue said, yep, Tesco's did the job at a quid. So the whole point of this is, Paul, your price isn't about you. It's about your client and what they want. And this is what most coaches don't understand. And this is why I'm giving this to you in this free masterclass series, because I want you to know this, because the world needs coaches. The world needs your gifts. So if there are any other questions, type them in now. Oh, Ali said, question, I saw something you'd written somewhere about high price, no clients, and that kind of resonated. I've been a coach for a while, and I do think I'm worth a bit, and other people always tell me that too. But I don't have many clients. Better idea to go cheap or stick to my guns? I'm really clear on this, Ali. There's an energy that comes with having a full practice by doing lots of coaching and working with lots of people. So the way I recommend it, funnily enough, I was coaching a guy a number of years ago. He's now a very well-known coach. And he was having this exact same conversation with me. So I'll keep your question on the screen, actually. I wish I could get up higher. I'll see if I can. So I was having this same conversation with him. And I said, well, what's your price? And he quoted me a number. It was a 5-figure number. That's what it cost for a coaching practice. I said, how many clients do you want? And he said a handful of clients, gave me the number. I said, okay, from now on, anyone who asks you, that's your price and that's your number of clients. You say, I work with, this many clients and this is my price. He's like, okay. I said, but it may be 3 months or 6 months or 12 months before someone signs up with you at that price. Because after all, the price he was quoting was probably at least 5 times, maybe even 10 times what he had charged so far. I said, it may be next week that someone signs up with you at that price, but it may be 3 months, 6 months, or a year. He said, until that time, do deals with people. Do deals with people, because it's more important for you to be working, coaching people, having an impact, getting referrals, spreading the word, all that sort of stuff, than it is to be someone with a high price and no clients. So absolutely stick to your guns with your price, and then coach whoever you need to coach to get the reference experience and spread the word and get the testimonials and that sort of thing. Cut deals, because the more you're in action, the more you're gonna have an impact and word's gonna get around and that sort of thing. So that's my suggestion. And by the way, you'll find that if you're doing that, you'll be surprised at how quickly you approach and then surpass that price. Now, with the person I'm telling you about, it was a year before he got the first person to sign up with him at that amount, but he now charges like, and it was a 5-figure fee. He now charges more than 10 times that fee. So just get in the game. That's the move as far as I'm concerned. So if there are any other questions, I can answer them. I'm also going to just show you a couple of things. Oh, this is really important, actually. Just a sec. So couple of things. Okay, the next 2 workshops. This is really, really important. Next 2 workshops. All right, let me make that bigger. I'm not doing this right. There we go. Workshop number 3 is this Thursday at 6 p.m. UK. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So same as usual. This Thursday, we're doing the roadmap for your thriving coaching practice. And we're going to be covering how to talk naturally and normally with people about what you do, the keys to having easy enrollment conversations. So I'm going to be taking you through the whole structure that I use for enrollment conversations. So that's this Thursday at 6 p.m. Here in the Clarity Life community. But then for workshop 4, there's something different. So this is the final workshop in the 4 masterclasses. It's called Get Your Coaching Practice Thriving. We're going to be walking you through the Thriving Coaches Blueprint, and I'm going to be taking you through the step-by-step plan for creating a thriving practice. Now, it's this Sunday night at 6 p.m. UK. This is one to attend live because we're doing it on Zoom. We're not doing it in the Facebook group. We're doing it on Zoom, and you have to go over to that link. It's jamiesmart.com/masterclass to get the Zoom link. So basically you go there, you put your name and your email address in, and then Zoom will give you the Zoom link. So it basically, when you get to the page, when you go to jamiesmart.com/masterclass, you'll see workshop 4, Get Your Practice Thriving. Put your first name, your last name, put your email address in twice and hit the register button, and it'll give you the link right away. So we're basically keeping track of the links on that. So if you want to join us for the 4th masterclass, head over to jamiesmart.com/masterclass. I meant to put it on that page. Sorry. So there it is at the bottom, jamiesmart.com/masterclass. And in fact, there it is there. So to get the Zoom details for workshop 4, go to jamiesmart.com/masterclass. To join my secret coaching business channel to get instant tips on getting clients and that sort of thing, go to jamiesmart.com/secret. We've got over 300 people there now, so it's not so much of a secret now, but it's really, really cool. And I'm always sharing different stuff there. Well, maybe I'll show you through some of the stuff that we're sharing there. Just a sec. I'll show you. I'll show you, by golly. Hang on a second. Un momento, por favor. There it is. Okay, so what you'll see is all kinds of stuff, including a poll we did about who's charging what, various podcast episodes and that sort of thing. The relationship needs matrix, I put that up there, gosh, like 5 days ago or something. I sometimes do these little round videos there. And this, I haven't talked about this yet, but I'm going to be rough notes for programs and things so you can see how I'm preparing things. Also, this is really cool. I came across this. I do these little voice things here, like little quick recordings. The videos are never more than a minute. The recordings are never more than 2 or 3 minutes. I came across this video by Steve Jobs. Amazing video. It's just 7 minutes, but it's brilliant if you want to understand marketing a little better. He's absolutely, it's absolutely brilliant. What else? Oh, and I took notes on it as well. So I put my notes in there as well. Put the slides from last night while I was working on it. Anyway, that's all going on in the Secret Coaching Business Group. I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to, be here with me on Thursday at 6 p.m. for the roadmap for your Thriving Coaches practice. And then Sunday, head over to jamiesmart.com/masterclass to make sure you get one of the places on that. Now, we've only got a limited number of spots on that, though the limit is quite large. So it's either 200 or 500. So we'll probably have room for everyone. But head over to jamiesmart.com/masterclass to make sure you get one of those places, because it's not going to be streaming live into Facebook. It is going to be going out on Thingme, what I just said. So you can get the Secret Coaching Business channel there. I'll put it up on the ticker. Register for Sunday's masterclass. Get your coaching practice thriving at www.jamiesmart.com/masterclass. All right. So I'm going to turn that into a ticker, actually, just a second. And then I will bring this to a pause. All right, there we go. So thank you for your attention today. If you have other questions, I'll answer them in the next Q&A. So basically, we're doing the next masterclass Thursday. This is going to be great. The Thursday masterclass is, the reason I'm excited about this one is we're going to be tackling some of the most kind of itchy things that bother coaches. So talking to people about enrolling and money and all that sort of stuff, because it's so crucial to get that stuff handled. We're going to be, Tom says, I love the Steve Jobs clip on marketing you shared with us. It's brilliant. I've watched it 3 times so far. I shared it in that group. As soon as I saw it, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I've watched it 3 times. I'm going to keep watching it because there's so much in it. It's fantastic. So yeah, Thursday is going to be great. I love the stuff we're going to be doing Thursday. I'm really excited about Sunday too. It's going to be fantastic. So make sure you go to jamiesmart.com/masterclass to register for Sunday's masterclass. And I look forward to seeing you there soon. I'll leave this up on the screen for a moment or two. For now, see you later, guys. Thank you so much for your attention. It's great to be on this journey with you. I'm grateful to be able to share this stuff with you. I'm going to call it a night. It's a night. And I will see you again soon.